Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be updating my digital reading journal. This first spread is for a blmanhwa I read called Business as Unusual. I think I was saying in my last video that I had a lot of short stories that I wanted to read, and this was kind of like the longest of the short stories. I think it was around like 20 chapters or so. It's a story from Moscareto, who, as you may know, I love. I don't know who did the art for this one, but the art is really nice too. Actually, a long time ago when I first saw this manhwa, like when it was first coming out in Korean, I had seen like the cover artwork in a tweet, and I thought that it was like fan art of Jaehyun and Doyoung from NCT. Like at first glance, if you're just scrolling, anyway, what this story is about is these two men. Minjun is the one with the dark hair and Jinhwan is the one with the lighter hair. They both work at the same company. Minjun has been working there longer, and there's like a new transfer in, and it's Jinhwan. And you soon realize, oh, they have some kind of history between them. And the story goes back and forth between like present day and past day. The past, when they knew each other, is when they were in college. And clearly something happened to them to like ruin their whole entire relationship when they were younger. And of course, you don't find that out until more towards the end of the story. I personally am such a big fan of when stories go back and forth between timelines like that. To be fair though, it has to be done really well. One of my favorite examples of this is Best Left Unwritten, which is one of my favorite ever BL stories, but like not everyone has the finesse. Like not everyone can write a good dual timeline story like that. I will say, I think that ultimately like the reason they broke up in the past is so stupid. But one thing about Moscareto stories is that they are always so like human. Like the characters feel very real, even if it's like an outlandish situation. And I do believe that like ultimately why they broke up is just something so ridiculous and like would not happen in real life, but I don't know. I always feel like Moscareto's characters are so real. I've also read You Get Me Going, which is kind of not similar to the story, but they are both like office workers in that story, and they're kind of like, it's kind of like an enemies to lovers story. I wouldn't say the main characters of Business as Unusual are enemies necessarily, but you know, they're exes. But yeah, I wrote that Moscareto and the people who adapt her stories, they do such a good job at making complex characters. Like their motivations actually make sense. You see the way, like you see why things ended up the way that they did. Like in this story, Jinhwan, he doesn't like people to be too clingy to him. So of course that makes Minjun kind of pull away. But then of course that in turn makes Jinhwan feel like he doesn't like him, so on and so forth, until of course they have like their big breakup moment, which again, I don't want to spoil it, but I just think it's like absurd. But ultimately I thought the story was kind of sad. It doesn't have a sad ending, but I just thought like the actual story itself was sad to me, that essentially like an entire decade was stolen from them. But I liked the story a lot. The main character was a little bit annoying by the end of it, but I'm just such a big fan of Moscareto's works. Like I'm glad that I finally got to this. I have a little extra time. I've already exhausted all of my thoughts, so I wanted to say happy April to everyone. I hope that it's still April by the time you're watching this video. If you are a student, I hope that you had a nice spring break. And if you are an adult who no longer gets fun breaks like that, I hope you've been having a good spring so far. Actually, I'm kind of glad that I'm a little bit behind with editing for my videos because I have not been making any spreads. I don't know what day it is right now. It's April something, and I have not made a single spread so far this month, so I'm kind of glad I'm behind because I would have nothing to show you all otherwise. I think it's because I made my like April spreads, like the beginning of the month spreads, like my TBR and my calendar. I made them in March. So I'm like just twiddling my thumbs like, okay, I guess I'll wait around. I keep having to add things to my calendar though. Usually once I make my calendar, like that's it. Like if I've missed something, sometimes I miss people's birthdays. I say sometimes, oftentimes I miss people's birthdays, but I'm like, I'm not going back to add it. But for my April calendar, there were just things that I didn't know the date of at first, like Kai's comeback. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But yeah, stuff like that. I feel like I've redone my April calendar like 4 times at this point. Anyway, this spread is now finished. I really enjoyed Business as Unusual, and if you also like Moscareto's works, I would read this one. The next spread is my March reading log. Are we going to be 1 month behind for forever with these reading logs? Probably. I had such a good birthday month reading month. So the first thing I read was To Your Right, You'll See My Boyfriend, which is a BL about 2 tour guides. Isn't that so interesting? I'm pretty sure in the little author's note that the mangaka said that they used to be a tour guide, and I was like, that is so cool. Basically, one guy has a girlfriend, and his girlfriend has just broken up with him because he has asked her if they can do certain things, and she's like, no, that's gay, no thank you. And one of his coworkers, a fellow tour guide, is like, I'll go out with you. I can get you to like me. I can get you to love me. It was really cute. I really loved both the characters. I thought the art was nice. And I just love coming across a story that has an interesting premise, like 2 tour guides falling in love. I don't know. After that, I read Toshiro-kun, Why Are You Like This? Volumes 1 through 4, which I talked about in my last video. And also Life in Smoky Blue, volumes 1 through 3, which I talked about in my last video. And then I read a manga called The Winter Sea, Where You Are Gone. It's actually a very short manga. I swear it felt shorter than a normal manga. And it's about these 2 guys who used to know each other in high school, I believe, and now they're adults and they're sort of dating, but one of them gets amnesia. So I feel like if you like that kind of story where it's like, you know, a little bit sad because, you know, somebody's forgotten all their memories with the person they love, then this one's fine. After that, I read Fake Fact Lips. Oh my gosh. I was talking about You Get Me Going by Moscareto earlier. I feel like if you like that manhwa, you will definitely love Fake Fact Lips. It's about these 2 guys who are enemies because they're rivals. They're rivals more so than they're enemies. And they're always having competitions with one another. And then one day they're like, I bet I can get you to fall in love with me. I absolutely love this manga. It has a sequel as well. I don't know when it's being officially published though, but this was one of the things that was like on my list of mangas that I was excited about for 2025. I loved it. And because I loved it so much, I read another manga by the same mangaka called Hug Me, Kiss Me, or Hug Kiss. I think the scan team called it Hug Me, Kiss Me, but I think the author calls it Hug Kiss. I fear I may have liked this even more than Fake Fact Lips. It's about these 2 high school students, and one kind of wants a girlfriend, and so he thinks he's texting this girl in his class, but he's actually texting like the handsome, cool, popular guy in his class. And of course the cool, handsome, popular guy just happens to be secretly gay. And then of course the rest of the manga is them falling in love with each other. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say I liked it more than Fake Fact Lips, but I just like loved the premise for it. Sending a wrong text to someone and then y'all end up living happily ever after. How unrealistic, but I loved it. After that, I read a manga called One Side in Room. It's one of those that are like, I liked it, but it was forgettable. It's about these 2 college students who basically enter into a like situationship with each other. It was like a very short, quick read. And in my notes, I wrote that I liked that it was kind of about being a people pleaser and the projection of those feelings onto the relationship. It's a shame that the story feels kind of forgettable because I don't think it was like meh at all. Like I actually think it was a very interesting like character study. But after that is when I started reading all of my like shorter manhwas. So the first one I read was Give Me Some Attention. I'm really interested in the author. I think their name is Rab, and the author's other story. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, but Give Me Some Attention is about these 2 students, high school students, and one of them kind of just wants to be ignored. He wants to be left alone, and the other one cannot fathom that someone would not be paying him attention, that they would not be treating him as if he's, you know, the greatest thing since sliced bread. But then you kind of learn like why the character doesn't really like to get too attached to people, and it's like, oh, they kind of match each other's freak. For a psychological story, which is not like my favorite genre, I enjoyed it though because it was short. Then I read Behind the Scandal. It's basically a best friends to lovers kind of story. They're both like college age, but one of them is an actor. Him being an actor has like no effect on the story though, but it was so cute. The main characters, Chan and Dowoon, they were so cute together. I was grinning from ear to ear while reading it. It was so funny. I really liked the art style. It felt very different to me, very unique. And also at the end of the story, it said to be continued. So are there going to be more side stories one day? I hope so. I really recommend Behind the Scandal. It was really good. And then I read Tell Me You Love Me, another short manhwa. This actually reminded me so much of another short manhwa that I love called You Read My Mind, which I recommend. But Tell Me You Love Me is about these 2 high school students, and one of them can read thoughts, and the other one, he just like really loves pretty men, essentially. And the student who can read minds is very handsome, so of course he's reading, you know, the other one's mind and like loving all the compliments he's getting. And of course they develop feelings for each other, and you know, they get kind of in an argument because imagine if someone could read your mind. Like that's a little bit intrusive. And at the end there's like a time skip to them being in college, but it's not rated R on Legends, so that part, it's very censored, but it's readable. Then I read seasons 1 and 2 of Love on a Loop because it was free on Legend. I'm sure it's probably no longer free, but I had specifically been waiting until the story was finished so that I could read the whole entire thing. I'm not sure about my thoughts about it because it's like, on the one hand, I do really appreciate the author and the artist for trying something new and interesting, like a time loop story is really difficult to manage. But on the other hand, I'm just kind of like, because I didn't really like how the time loop was handled. Like, honestly, I think if that whole part had been taken out, it would have been just like a cute high school life story. I feel like the time loop ultimately did not matter. I don't know. And then, of course, I read Business as Unusual, which I just talked about. The only other thing I read this month was Looking Glass Sound, which I listened to on audio. I couldn't even begin to tell you what this book is about. It's like a book within a book within a book within a book. It was very confusing. I'm glad I listened to it on audio. I think I give it a 3 stars. Like, it was fine. Like, after all of that, all the confusion, like, it was just kind of fine. But that was everything I read in March. I'm going to have to slow this footage down much more than I normally would. I can already tell. So I hope that this was not boring, slowed down so much. But this spread is finished. The final spread for today's video is my April TBR. I used so many things from Twitter in this spread. That's why I knew I was going to have to screen record it so that I could talk about the different things that I used. First of all, this pudding frame, it has that kind of like patchworky sort of style that I love so much. The tweet had 4 different frames and they're all so cute. And then I also used these button stickers that have like a Hello Kitty design. And then the last recent find on Twitter is that little folder. I feel like recently a lot of people have been making, I say recently, like maybe in the beginning of March, I saw that a lot of people were making some folders, like folder artwork for your computer. But I was like, I think these will be great digital journal stickers. I forget what this cat is called, Masumaru? Something like that, Masumaru? I always see like cute old artwork of him, her, on Pinterest. And the only other thing I used from Twitter in this spread are some older like stickers that I've shown in my videos like a bunch of times before. They're the star stickers. Oh, I think I use a pudding shaped one. All of the stuff that I use will be linked in the description box, of course. Oh, and also I made like that pink kind of background thing, and I'm thinking I might add that to my birthday deco kit Google Drive folder because I made a pink one and a blue one. I thought they kind of matched with the other stuff that I made. So yeah, I'll add that and the blue one to my Google Drive folder for my birthday deco kit. I hope the audio doesn't sound too different, but it's literally a week later. Like whatever I just said, that last sentence, that was 1 week ago. But I wanted to talk about my TBR. Firstly, I wanted to talk about my March TBR because the manga series, Happy of the End, the 3rd volume was supposed to come out in March. Actually, it was supposed to come out in September of 2024, and they pushed it to March of 2025. It has now been pushed again to June. It's actually making me lose my mind. Like, I just want to read volume 3 so badly. There are probably like other translations of it, like probably a scan team at some point has probably translated the series, but I want to read the official version. As for my April TBR, it's almost the middle of the month as I'm recording this, and I have only read 1 thing for my TBR. I had planned a whole entire weekend of reading, and I'm currently living that weekend, and very little reading has occurred. I'm the kind of person that no matter how much I plan, like my day is going to have me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not having my day is having me. I still haven't watched Wicked, and I thought I was going to do that this weekend because I didn't do it last weekend. I also haven't gotten much listened to of Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the other thing I wanted to talk about for my April TBR. I'm currently reading or listening to Sunrise on the Reaping. I think I'm 48% of the way through right now. I'm pretty sure I listened to 38% one day and then like 10% the next day or the day after that. So yeah, I'm basically halfway through the book. Right now, a character is about to be introduced that like I would not have known who it was had I not seen a tweet from Discussing Films. It was like, so-and-so actor has been offered the role of so-and-so character. And I was like, oh, okay, so this character is going to be in the book. Thank you for spoiling. Also, because I don't remember anything about Haymitch's game at all. Like, everything is pretty much a spoiler to me, and that's maybe my own problem. But I read the Hunger Games like 500 years ago. Like, the original trilogy, I read them so long ago. And I saw that Lionsgate little trailer thing that they put out, and I was like, oh, this is a spoiler. Like, now I know kind of what happens. Like, I thought it would be, you know, people reading the book that would spoil me, not stuff about the movie. But anyway, I'm excited to finish that up, and also hopefully I will get to everything else that's on my TBR. I really, really love how this spread turned out. I love that frame so much. And also the button stickers, those are so cute. But since this is the last spread, now we can go put all of them into my digital journals. Earlier when I was recording this, I got a notification from YouTube, and you know how sometimes YouTube, like if you subscribe to someone, they'll just suddenly send you a notification from them despite not having their notifications on. Then you have to like physically go and like manually turn them off. That's what just happened to me, but it was for that girl who is obsessed with the dandelion crayon. Do you know who I'm talking about? Even if you don't, that's kind of irrelevant. But what I wanted to say is I got the new colored pencil pack that has the dandelion colored pencil in it. I love it. I feel like usually whenever like a new kind of colored pencil like that comes out, they always end up in the clearance aisle. So I'm kind of hoping that happens again because I might get another pack of them if that does happen, just to have as backup. I don't know. I'm such a real colorer now. I still feel like that is not a word. I actually was almost on the verge of buying 2 coloring books the other day. It was like, I say the other day, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, get it together, Sheree. So I was thinking if the hobby survives the summer, because that's always kind of where things go to die, then I can get myself a new coloring book. There's this one I specifically want that has like seasonal holiday themed pages, and that's really something that I'm looking for, because I feel like in the one that my best friend got me, there are a few pages that are like kind of Halloweeny and like Christmassy, but not that many. I don't know, we'll see. Thank you for keeping up with my adventures in coloring. I quite literally always speak for way too long during this part of my videos, and then when I'm editing, because I feel like you can't really tell because I try my hardest to edit out me taking like these gigantic pauses as I'm thinking. So what happens is once I edit out those little pauses, they all add up to be like multiple seconds. And so then it's like, oh, I don't even have any screen recording left, but I have all of this narration. Is that what I'm doing? A voiceover left. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Everything I used in today's spreads will be in my Pinterest board, which is linked in the description box along with my other social media accounts. The links to the Google Drive folders for my deco kits will also be in the description box. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you so much once again for hanging out with me today. I hope that you've been having a good week and a good month, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone!